Hello everyone. Today I'm going to walk through a workflow using Blender and Midjourney together to animate Nebula, space nebula effects. So I'm going to set aside the debate over generative AI and just really talk about a practical application to help speed up rendering animations or quickly kind of visualizing something that might take a longer time to do otherwise. So what I have done is I've used the Nebula Generator add-on to act as kind of like a seed image or a starting image to kick off a Midjourney video animation, because although there's lots of whys and wherefores about how Midjourney has been trained on lots of different images, one of those things that it has been trained on is lots of animations of clouds and things like that. So what I've actually found is it's quite good at creating animations of clouds and nebula clouds, which would be quite time consuming to generate using more traditional volumetric rendering techniques like that seen in say Blender or say the Redshift renderer or something like that. So although you kind of lose that control over camera movement, you do gain it in sort of the speed with which you can render out an animation, but you're kind of retaining your artistic control because you actually can generate the starting image and make that at least sort of more your own and go through the more traditional process of generating something like that. So for instance, I think that Blender is quite good for generating still images, particularly of volumetric nebula. But with Eevee, because it was always intended, I believe, to be more for generating previews, it's less effective or requires a lot more tweaking with animation of volumetric clouds and things like that. So you can get sort of animation artifacts like kind of slight flickering that you would have to kind of tidy up in post-production. And using like a generative AI approach like what Midjourney offers shortcuts that, because it's been trained on lots of cloud-like data or images of clouds, so it makes it quite good at doing kind of fly-throughs of nebula and that sort of thing. So it is a quick way, I'd say, to prototype animations or create background sequences without those kind of heavy rendering times that you can have otherwise. So here I am using the Nebula Generator in Blender to create a still image that I'd like to animate. So I'm just going through the various parameters here. I'm tweaking things like the coloring and the lighting and changing the noise parameters of the clouds to get to something I like. Then I'm going to increase the volumetric resolution to its highest setting, and then I'm going to render out a still image that I'm going then to take forward into Midjourney. So the process doesn't take all that long. It's probably the most enjoyable part of the process because I'm actually kind of tweaking parameters and getting to a place where I'd like to be. So I'm probably spending a little bit more longer than I should do on this stage. Once I'm happy though, I'll render out the image and just copy it to the clipboard, and then we'll go over onto Midjourney. So here I am in Midjourney and I'm on the creation tab, and I'm just going to paste the image in that I created in Blender. I'm actually not going to use it as a still image, but I'm going to instead reset the settings and then put it in as a starting frame to the animation. I'm then going to use a prompt here, just a simple prompt saying a nebula fly through, NASA image of the day. I noticed that the word fly through seems to help the animation, but you can use any kind of prompt you like to see if it produces different results. And then I'm just going to hit the send button and send it off to Midjourney for processing. So I'm just going to let Midjourney run and let it do its stuff. It probably takes about 30 seconds or so for it to generate one of these animations. And what it will present is 4 possible animations, and some will be better than others. Some will have some errors in it, of course, but I can usually get to an animation I like in next to no time. And this is one of the big advantages I see actually, is that it will take a very small amount of time to render out one of these animations compared to more traditional volumetric rendering methods. I'm not saying those methods are particularly obsolete, because what you could do here is basically prototype some potential animations you like, and then you could set that properly up in Blender or any other 3D animation program, where you're able to do a lot more fine tuning and create a much higher quality animation. So here we are, it's created those animations, and I think they're pretty good, pretty impressive for just taking a still image and creating something like this, where the stars can track, the clouds look realistic as it pans through. Looks pretty good. So when I shared this on X, one of the questions was, can you create a looping animation? And that is fairly straightforward as well. It does have kind of mixed results, more mixed results than just using a straightforward animation. But basically, if you just set the start frame to be the same as the end frame, it will produce a looping animation. So this is probably where some of the disadvantages come through, because sometimes it will do it, sometimes it won't quite. It will kind of zoom in and zoom out, not zoom through. But after a couple more attempts, I did get this result, where it's fairly seamless about how it was looping through that zoom out and zoom through. And here's another one that I prepared earlier, just showing a similar effect. You can get more mixed results than you would do otherwise. So with this workflow, we can use Blender to design a unique nebula, generate a quick fly-through in Midjourney, and even create seamless looping animations. It's not perfect, you don't get full camera control like in Blender, but as a rapid prototyping method, it is surprisingly effective. So if you'd like to experiment, I'll of course leave a link to the Nebula Generator add-on in the description. You don't have to use that add-on though. And I'll leave some examples as well of the nebulas that I've created with this technique. And thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you try this workflow yourself and what successes or failures you have. Okay, all the best. Goodbye.